Live from the apocalypse, DJ Mayonnaise. We made it. This is State of the Game.
What's that? Shout out to DJ Mayo.
I work with DJ Mayonnaise.
Oh, you do?
For years and years and years. And
all right.
I used to interview him like he was a star at lunch table. I used to be like, so tell me about idea. And
you're not wrong.
Let me eat my sandwich, you know.
Reluctant star, DJ Mayo.
We made it. DJ Mayonnaise, harshly reviewed in Pitchfork, and we'll never forget it.
We've all had our moments. Jesse should be so lucky.
Jesse,
I know. I'm waiting.
One day.
They won't
get like a 2.4.
They won't touch my material anymore. They used to have good, at least we'd get coverage. They don't even bother to, like, most underground hip hop gets no coverage whatsoever.
Ian Cohen is still around, and he's coming.
Such a piece of shit. Fuck that dude.
Who the hell is that?
This is great. Yeah, I'm all about the slander to Ian Cohen. But so I am your host, Dan O. I messed up my son's Marcus Smart jersey in the dryer, and things have not been the same since. So
I would be pissed if I was your son too.
I'm working that off. He looked me in the face and he said, "I told you not to put it in the dryer. I'll buy another one." And I was like, "Jeez, I'm in the doghouse for a long time." But that's his fatherhood. This is what it is. But so that's me.
Is he a big Marcus Smart fan?
He is.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Why though? I mean, I know people love Marcus. I think he's got gusto.
Yep.
He's got a lot of gusto.
He's got green hair.
Top 5 gusto in the league.
Top 5 gusto.
Top 3 moxie though.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of moxie.
My co-host, who is prepping for American Ninja Warrior, he's going to win it all. Kay Diggy, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What up?
What a time.
Wow. You must be exhausted. You got to do like the ring work and like there's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a long day, but I'm ready.
Long day.
Ready to bring the title back to America.
Bring the title
long
back.
Day of training.
So yeah, and I'm very lucky to have. If I had one of these two guests, I'd be very excited. Because I have Jesse the Tree, who did the honor of adding the tree in there so I can find him on any internet service. Yes, that's another shot at Andrew. Unsearchable Andrew.
Andrew.
Son of a bitch! Add something. Be a radiator. I don't care.
If you type me in, though, it's usually like Christian oriented or Catholic, maybe. There's the tree of Jesse. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. I found that.
But it comes up a lot.
Yeah, it does come. But yeah, the other person is interesting. The other guest we have is the first guest on State of the Game, K, that impressed my wife. Whenever I tell my wife about my guest coming up, she goes, "Oh, that's nice. You're great. I'm proud of you. That kind of thing." But this time, her eyes open. She was like, "You really got Sage?" Yeah. So,
shout out to your wife.
My juice is flowing. It's good. This is very New England. So, and we're here this is our label legacy, K. This is a good segment that we have running because independent hip hop labels have personality. That's what we like about them. They have weird personalities. They have things they focus on. They're very different from one another. And in what their focus is. Strange Famous Records has a very specific persona to it, as I understand.
Does it? I want to hear about this.
And I'm going to get to kick it to Sage, and he's going to shut me down. It's going to be awesome. So I'm very excited.
No. I'm just curious what your angle is. I want to hear.
I will. But we got to start with Sage. You are a very old man. I appreciate you, and I'm very old as well. So you remember a time in hip hop where people didn't talk about the underground at all. It wasn't a thing, right? There was a time before the term became prevalent. When would you put that?
Hip hop was hip hop. I mean, it was all underground, I suppose.
Right. When would you peg that at? When would you say the term hip hop underground starts becoming a thing? The people,
I would say after there was several high selling artists that adopted a certain pop aesthetic, and then there was the rebellion against that of artists who purposely kept it dirty and dusty and offensive, and it was like, all right, that's underground. They're not really trying to get shine in the mainstream, and they're not media darlings. Am I sounding all right?
yeah, you sound fine to me. Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it's really tough to pinpoint, but right up until mid 90s, 96, where the independent label started to apply, because even major label artists were considered underground for quite a while. But then the independent scene started to explode, and it differentiated themselves from even the underground because they were funding themselves and putting out their own records and didn't have any major label backing or support. So that became underground. It's like if you really were up on hip hop and wanted to find the interesting stuff, you'd have to know how to dig and where to dig and how to find this material. This was right on the cusp of the internet becoming popular, so it still wasn't a thing you could find, and you didn't even really know what people looked like. There weren't music videos for underground artists at that point. But I don't know, you would say like Black Moon, I would consider them underground hip hop, even though they had videos on MTV and they would get some radio play for, I Got You Open remix and stuff like that. But to us, they were underground because they just because of their style and aesthetic. But these terms all seem to morph and transform over time, and sometimes it applies, sometimes it doesn't. But at this point, it's almost like we're back to where everyone is on the same platform. Some of us have major label backing, some of us have independent support, some of us are just operating out of our bedroom and throwing stuff up on SoundCloud. But if you want, you can be on the same platforms as Jay-Z and have a minimal budget behind you, and maybe one or two people will hear you, but you're still on the same platforms. Hopefully people will share it if it's dope enough.
Yeah. I mean, my line of demarcation historically is the Chronic, right? I think when the Chronic drops, it's so opulent, it sounds so opulent, and it's such a rich record that I think we started to realize, oh, there's haves and have-nots here. Like there's the people with the budgets and the people who don't have the budgets,
Yeah, I also particularly remember when the Chronic dropped. That's when the kids who would make fun of me for listening to hip hop through the years were listening to hip hop. That was the one that they finally were on board, and they were wearing the marijuana t-shirts and bumping Dr. Dre in their whip. And it's like, oh snap. It was like, oh, now you listen to hip hop. Okay. So now it's acceptable. And it's just, that was a period in time where I noticed a big change in how hip hop was being received, and right on the cusp of it becoming omnipresent, hip hop being omnipresent in every, facet of popular culture. Walking into restaurants, hearing it and all that shit. So very distinct difference from what I was used to.
Yeah. Now for you and Strange Famous Records for the timeline, right? Mm-hmm. Strange Famous starts in 96. Are you signed to Epitaph at that point? Or is that later?
No, I wasn't signed to any label, and I never really thought I'd ever get signed. I wasn't really using the names Strange Famous in 96, but the spirit of Strange Famous was born then, because that's when I decided, okay, no one's going to put out my music. Let me just make some cassette tape dubs and try to sell it at shows and get myself in front of as many people as possible, mostly at hardcore shows, punk shows, and open mics, spoken word reading, spoken word events and stuff like that. And when I I guess when I first started using the name Strange Famous was in 98 or 99. So, but yeah, that was when it all started to happen for me before anyone else was involved, just me.
How interesting. You mentioned how you got your start in hardcore shows. Can you like what was that scene like? Because that's interesting, like the connection between rock and like underground hip hop.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of hip hop shows for me to go to, and the kids in my college were in bands and they were playing shows, so that was my opportunity to hop up on stage and perform with them in front of punk audiences. And that also made me aware of how independent scenes were operating, because hip hop didn't really have that going on, at least in Rhode Island or Boston. So it opened my eyes up to the fact that you don't need Sony or Def Jam or anyone else to validate you. If you think you're dope and you want to put yourself out there for, either to be appreciated or scrutinized, there's your opportunity. Like, there's no one holding you back. Do it. And that's what I did. So that was the start of me giving up on the idea that some magical wizard was going to swoop in and make sense of the music industry for me. And I just built the foundation of what it is to run a record label, which was very shoddy at first and totally like, I don't know, low level shit. And then slowly but surely developing the business model.
Yeah, no, it was interesting because I think a lot of like the way the region, and I'll get into my sage theory here, which is I think the way there's a school of thought that thinks of you, thinks of personal journals as your Cuban links. That thinks of it as like that is sage, like redefining the sound of the underground kind of thing, and Anticon and the attachment to Anticon and how they were so trailblazing in their way. But that is not how I saw it. Like, I came up with you on Healthy Distrust, Human the Death Dance era, right? And I went to a lot of shows, when you came around here, and I was like, oh shit, Sage is teaching hip hop to metal kids. And because like the shows were metal kids, and like you had Wakefield doing poetry in front of metal kids.
Right. Well, this was the benefit of being signed to Epitaph Records, which is a punk label. And the fact that they put my song Makeshift Patriot on one of their compilation Punkorama CDs exposed a lot of people to a style of hip hop they weren't familiar with, where they had always discounted hip hop, probably because of what they became familiar with during the Chronic era. And not, not to shoot it down, but that is when a lot of them became aware of hip hop and thought to themselves, man, I don't really identify with that lifestyle or, flashiness or whatever. And then because I grew up on a hip hop that was very substantive, very informative and political. And so that is not the stuff that they really understood. So then when they heard me doing it, it opened up the floodgates for them to check out more hip hop that was of that aesthetic and that style. And it's true. Yeah, people still tell me to this day that my material is the first hip hop they really got into before they started listening to everything else. So that's a fortunate position for me to be in. I mean, I'm grateful for that. I hope they didn't get into any whack hip hop, but you can't control the flow of the river. It's just how it goes, and it's just a cool communal event that happened.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to think about, because it's a lot of what people say about LP is that LP loves the 80s kind of hip hop era and takes like the lessons of Greg Nice and EPMD and puts this dense Trent Reznor kind of fabric on it. You were still doing a very like Run DMC roar to your delivery, but you had like a lot of rock elements and orchestration happening behind you. So you were bringing these people closer to the kind of hard hitting back and forth of the golden era.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, those eras rolled over from one to another very swiftly, because once when A Healthy Distrust came out, it almost felt like that was the tail end of my career at that point in my life.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that was the very beginning of my career. And then yeah, I had already established myself, I thought, as a very traditional boom bap artist. But with the Hope album, the Nonprofits album, which came out in 2004, prior to that was Personal Journals, which I think established me as a left field poetry style weirdo, breaking traditions of hip hop, which upset a lot of people. But all these things just went boom, boom, boom. Every time I came out with something new, I wanted to be unpredictable in what I was presenting and how I was doing it. So that was kind of fun and weird for me, right up until I stopped being as prolific. I wasn't putting out mixtape after mixtape, album after album. I kind of hit a stride at a certain point, and I think it turned into a chrysalis that is allowing me to transform and become something else that will reveal itself in time. And it's taken a lot of time because it's been 8 years since Copper Gone was released, and that was my last solo album. But I've done a lot of other things with our artists and just appeared on different albums.
Yeah, and killed Bigger Badder Wolf. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. And yeah, it was weird, Kay, because I was helping run a poetry organization in Maine, right? And we were always so excited because we were like, Sage sees us. Sage has got all kinds of spoken word poets in his circle. So we felt very seen. I remember going to a Jared Paul poetry reading. I think it was in Brandeis, and he made the mistake of saying sea lion, and the drunkest person you could imagine screamed Sage Francis like it was Conan the Barbarian in the middle of this poetry reading. And you should have seen the deep sigh that Jared Paul did to recalibrate himself. An incredible moment for me.
I know what that sigh sounds like too. Yeah. Exasperation. That's some funny shit, man. Yeah.
Yep. But it was a mixture.
Coincidentally enough.
No, go ahead.
Coincidentally enough, it's his voice screaming Sage Francis at the end of a Dance Monkey, where it's like, Sage fucking Francis.
Yes,
That's him.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, so it was a mixture of like spoken word, like you had a poetic literary writing, right? And everybody.
Yeah, I can credit the spoken word scene for opening me up to subject matter that was not typical in hip hop music, addressing content that was kind of frowned upon within hip hop circles. And I knew I was not accepted by the dyed in blue hip hop crowd when I'm talking about gay rights or being more respectful to to women, and just kind of pointing out things that I thought were toxic in our culture. And the hip hop, the spoken word community was more comfortable for me to be around, even though they have their own toxic traits, and that all showed its face over time. And I was definitely open to bringing these people on board the Strange Famous ship so that they could inspire my crowds the same way spoken word inspired me to do what I did in hip hop. and it all made sense. It just, everything was happening as it seemed it should. It almost was like it was laid out for me to do it the way that it happened. I didn't have to make any grueling decision like, oh man, do I, should I pull this weird gimmick and have a spoken word guy? It wasn't, nothing felt that way. It just was very natural, organic, and some of it worked, some of it didn't. I just kept it moving either way. I always want to just keep myself around quality people and inspiring people, and that's what I did.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Another experience, Kay. I was at a Sage Francis show. I was in the merch table. The people in front of me, two guys in front of me, were going up Sage Francis, eyes on the ground, and they were like, we really like your stuff, which we're not gay or anything, we're not homo, but we love your stuff. And it was just really weird. And Sage, the only time I've ever seen a rapper do this, Sage very kindly talked them through letting that go. Like, hey, you do not need to form these sentences in this manner. Like, you can go ahead and just say you can leave all that shit alone. And I had never seen a rapper do that. That was really cool.
That's funny. We love you, Sage. I promise we're not gay.
Every artist, I think, has to deal with that if they make themselves as accessible to the audience as I do, and it becomes very tiring. It's grating, actually, and but people are in different points of their journey, and you never know where they are when they encounter you. So it's very tricky. I don't, what I really want to say is you're so fucking stupid. Like, shut the fuck up. But that's, that's not going to help. I don't want everything to be a teachable moment. I'm like, I don't want to approach life that way. I'm trying to just, at that point, I'm probably thinking, just please buy a t-shirt. Please.
Right. They're like, we have $4 put together.
But to the metal,
can I get a deal?
Final?
Yeah. No, to the metal kid point though, like back in the day, back in the 90s, the people were kind of in one lane. You were a metal kid, you were a hip hop kid, you were top 40 rock, but you were like, there were different lanes and you were supposed to be in your different lane. And so a lot of those metal kids hadn't given themselves permission to like rap yet.
Right.
You acted as that point of like, oh, okay, now I can just say that I like both,
And what's crazy too is, I don't even know if Sage and I ever talked about this, but I had a very similar kind of route playing early, especially playing my early shows in Providence were usually hardcore shows. And still some of my favorite shows that I've played, and even like this past summer, I played a couple like metal fests in, Pawtucket and Providence, by our mutual friend Josh Marcy, who's like the forever punk dude from Rhode Island. Just to his core. So always has like 500 cassettes like in his backpack, and his a cigarette, and just talking
and
shit.
He's crouching.
He's crouching, squatting. But that was a lot of the same as what I did. And I would like go read poems or just, bring a bunch of random instrumentals and play at these punk shows and hardcore shows. And I didn't really listen to much. That's what got me into it, was playing those shows. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this shit. This is cool. But that was definitely some of my favorite shows. Providence has a really cool like metal, hardcore, punk scene. And they all come out and party for that. And that was
you just reminded me. I feel like punk is live music and hip hop is recorded music. Like those, like it kind of like hip hop is more of a recorded medium, and punk rock is more of a live medium. Like you get the shows are just so thrilling and it's immediate and exciting, and that's what was lacking in hip hop. And we all, every music goer had to start making sense of why does this work here but not there? How can we make it like working the other way. So being part of those punk shows inspired me to make my hip hop act more immediate and intense and feel less like I was going through the motions the way I see a lot of hip hoppers do in at live shows. Because it just is just a strange thing for people to be playing beats on stage and rapping with their natural voice or rap voice into a mic, and they don't really know how to interact with the crowd. And to this day, it's still like that. I still see that in a lot of hip hop, and that was something I had to. It's what set me apart from a lot of hip hop when I was popping off with the early live shows. It was like, oh damn, like this motherfucker is like really, not just on stage, but he'll get in the crowd. He'll also punch you in the face and then give you a hug at the end of the show if everything's cool. But yeah, it was great to start genre bending and mixing and all that shit.
Jesse, rappers know that they have to do something with the other arm, but they don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's the ninth wonder of the universe what that arm is supposed to do, and it's really just trying to make it not look, limp. I think I do that. I'll see pictures of me from shows, and I'll start curling up my arm a little. The other one, it'll start dying off a little. And I'm like, oh shit, gotta keep the blood going to that arm and do something with it, draw circles and animate, like do some Bob Ross type shit.
You could put an easel on stage, draw while you rap.
Exactly.
There's a lot you put that on. Yeah.
That's fine.
And then sell the paintings for
the world is your oyster with that arm.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rap Forever.
That's what I've been told.
Okay, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So,
I never had a problem with my free arm. I never think.
Who were some of your early like hip hop influences?
It was every hip hop artist that I heard, whether they were good or bad, and most of them were good. They were great. The first concert, I mean, I've talked about this a billion times, so apologies to anyone who's like listened to other podcasts I've been on, but like Run DMC, Public Enemy, EPMD, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince was my first concert. So starting from there, that being my first live show, not being enthralled by the live performance, but I was so in love with hip hop, just being part of that was everything to me. And Public Enemy in particular, their live stage show is what wowed me in a way that I don't think anyone else has ever done. And but I was lucky enough to be within range to the Boston College Radio signals, so I got 88.9 WERS, which had a hip hop show every Saturday night from like 1 to 2 a.m. or some shit like that. And that's the only time you could get that real hip hop. It was like playing Eric B and Rakim and Big Daddy Kane. And so I would tape that and I would listen to it on repeat. And so anything I could get my hands on, but I could go through the list. It was like Too Short, Ice-T, NWA, LL Cool J, Kool Moe Dee. It was like on and on. It was like every artist I just wanted to consume and understand as much as possible. And it was difficult at the time because our record stores didn't have hip hop sections and there were tapes, and I didn't have a lot of money. I would save up about $10 to get a tape every week, and I would guess sometimes if it was a hip hop artist or not. So that's why a lot of us had to be either hip hop or heavy metal or country, because music was not as accessible or easy to get. And you didn't want to risk wasting money on a shitty rock album if all you cared about, if you were mostly into hip hop. So yeah,
plunking down $15 on a bad album felt like getting robbed.
What's worse, that or a bad sandwich, though?
That or a bad what?
Bad sandwich.
I'm gonna go bad sandwich.
like spending like $11-12 and the sandwich just doesn't do it for you.
Oh no,
I'm gonna go with that
unforgivable.
sandwich every time. Yeah,
That's a
really
bad thing.
You're just looking down at your sandwich like this is a mess,
waiting for it to get better.
Yep, I'm with you on that. So Jesse, by the way, before you became a superstar on Strange Famous? What was your view on Strange Famous? Did it line up with my perspective of teaching metal kids hip hop, or did that ship sail?
Or yeah, I mean, it was huge for me, especially as a kid. I have two older sisters. One of them's like 39, the other one's like 45. Major hip hop heads. So sixth, seventh, eighth grade, early high school, my sisters were burning me, Sage's albums, and then burning me stuff off, early Rhymestairs stuff, and then mixing in like, whatever was cool in the 90s that they liked, Gangstar, Ghetto Boys. But I was very, aware of Strange Famous and thought it was the coolest shit in the world, especially because it was, down the street. So that was something always in the back of my head. You know what I mean? It was like the version of, when you get old enough in high school when you're like, okay, I'm probably not going to play in the NBA, probably not going to play D1. All right, I'm probably not going to play basketball at all after this. I was like, but I also love rapping, and it's like Strange Famous in my eyes as a kid. I was like, that's a form of making it to the league in some way, to be recognized by those guys, and just like how hard they all worked. But that was, like Sage said, for him to start hearing people express things differently, that's what I was hearing as a kid on Strange Famous. I was like, oh, you can rap like that. You know what I mean? Like you can be a little weird, and you can bend words differently and just bring up, really human shit. And so that was super impactful for me. And, my sisters, when I told them Sage was reaching out to me, yeah, they were bugging the hell out. They still do. They're like, how was the video with Sage? What did he talk about?
That's what's up.
Yeah. No, and cool. For me, I don't know. There was like a Scribble Jam was a big missing piece for me. After I got out of the military in 2002, I started buying up these Scribble Jam DVDs and getting them delivered to my house. And I was looking at them and watching the behind the scenes, and like LP and Slug and Sage all laughing, having cigarettes. I'm like, yo, all these guys created companies. Like, that's wild. Like, there were so many people in Scribble Jam who went on to like redefine the levels of the underground shit. And so that really was like, oh shit, okay. And Kay, if you haven't seen the Scribble Jam, Sage has this battle where he comes poorly dressed on purpose, and then proceeds to finish his opponent's lines every time they go because he knows
he baited them.
Yeah, brilliant. So.
Well, it helps to be clairvoyant.
It does. Yeah. Professor X.
Yeah. Goes a long way.
Yeah.
Again, I feel sorry for artists coming up now who don't have that kind of community event that Scribble Jam was. It was such a beautiful time for hip hop, for independent hip hop, for people to get together from all parts of the world. And we mostly knew each other from online forums and stuff like that. And then finally we get to meet in person. People didn't know, like people knew Sage Francis's music, but didn't know what I looked like. That's how early the internet was. And that's why I was able to kind of dress in character in battle as Zalzan. And people didn't know it was Sage Francis. So that was just kind of my way of having fun, trolling the whole event, but also gaining an edge on my competition. And those are just, man, those times were fucking crazy. Everything about that time is crazy. It was beautiful to have, because not all of us got along. There was beefs. There was definitely some tension. and some of it got resolved on stage, some of it didn't. And but the fact that we could all come together, do this large event, perform in front of 1,000 or more people, and sell merch and start our companies, like really start exploding from there. That was I think it got too big for it to actually sustain itself for some reason. It just kind of lost its magic and lost its appeal at a certain point. But man, that is how so many things got worked out early on, and how all of us came together early on, and how certain enemies became lifelong friends. And there's nothing like that anymore. There's really nothing that even comes close to that. So maybe at some point we can return, because I feel like hip hop is in another cycle where everyone's understanding that, okay, only a certain small fraction of people are actually getting attention in media. Companies, major corporations are controlling algorithms to the point where underground artists not receive the type of attention that they once were able to garner through organic means. Right. And so now people are forced to understand and accept that they're making hip hop and they're making art and they're being creative for the sake of being creative, for the thrill of doing something interesting and inspiring other people, rather than following a formula that is guaranteed to, bring revenue and help you meet your bottom line or whatever. So it's like, now I think some more fruitful communities can begin to thrive with low budget events, and then grow from there. And maybe that will explode and fold in on itself at some point too. But I can see that it's possible, maybe if COVID goes the fuck away at some point. But I've got my eyes and ears to the internet streets in hopes of making something like that happen somehow.
How would you say, like, that Scribble Jam era, how would you say that helped you evolve as an artist? Like, what did that do for you artistically?
It promoted me. Artistically, nothing. It was a great way to network, and it was a great way to get my name in magazines, a great way for people on the internet to talk about me and then check out my music and download it on Napster. So, someone's like, who the fuck is this person that won Scribble Jam? Let me look into that. That was my motivation. And, I never really expected to win Scribble Jam, because I was not battle heavy at that moment. But that is a big part of the reason I probably got signed to Anticon during, the peak of their popularity, as well as the peak of their controversy. And yes, it all worked out the way that benefited us, I think, as best as possible. But yeah, so artistically, it wasn't like we were having writing groups and we weren't doing anything other than having freestyle ciphers and just building with one another. But it was like, it really, if you were at a certain level, and I felt like I was getting a bit long in the tooth to expect a hip hop career to be possible. So I was firing on, all pistons in hopes of something popping off. So was everyone else.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so Kay, he has a series called Sick of, right? Sick of waiting tables, sick of waging war, sick of being sick, right? And like, Sick of Waiting Tables is my favorite. That's the one I come back to the most. And I think it's because it has these kind of long, glorious freestyle sessions with all these people, Slug and Idea, and just everybody really just enjoying each other's voices and perspectives. And that sounds like that era, that tape kind of sounds like the answer to your question in a way.
Yeah, well, that was an era where MCs were expected to freestyle and sort of in a way where jazz musicians can riff with one one another in jam, and there's no beginning or end. It's really, you're just playing off one another. That is almost completely gone now. But thankfully, thankfully we captured that when it did happen. What killed that, a big part of what killed that, was camera phones, and the bigger the internet got, and people not wanting to kill their own career before it even started by saying something really whack in a freestyle. And so, that's, again, it was an era where I said a lot of goofy shit because it was a lot of freestyles that were not predetermined, and anything can happen at that point. But I liked that energy. I wanted to build off of that and let others like say their own stupid shit, but not everyone was as comfortable looking goofy. I didn't mind looking goofy if I could win Scribble Jam. Like, that gave me a lot of leverage, just having those accolades and showing off on other ends of, like, doing the spoken word stuff, which was, some of it was incredibly serious. So I could only balance that by going super silly. And not everybody was cool with that. Not everybody felt as free. A lot of people really needed to have their lane and have very strict walls, and their armor, that's where they kind of stayed inside. And some of them benefited from that, but most, I think, their career suffered because of it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's and a lot of people that came out of that era released incredibly personal, vulnerable albums, right? Idea and Atmosphere and You. And so the people that made sense and like grew into that and said, look, I can't just battle rap on records all the time, so I got to move on.
Right.
But yeah. So
yeah, we reached the threshold. We reached the threshold with the battle rap, boom bap stuff on the East Coast for sure. By like 99, 2000, it was like, oh, it's getting very repetitive, and everyone's trying to say the same kind of things, and it's very predictable. So it was, and with the internet being brand new and everything just started sprouting up, it was like, damn, this is new, this is new, this is new. Hip hop's going to change too. So that's what happened.
That makes sense.
And yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. But no, it's interesting, and I think I've been listening to a lot of Mopes, aka Prolific, this week. Incredible, Reanimator, Buddy Peace, all these great collaborations. We should talk about what Prolific, aka Mopes, has meant to the label.
Well, okay, he's a huge part. You can't say AKA Prolific. You have to say PKA.
Oh,
previously
PKA
known as Prolific.
Yep. Oh, yep. PKA, FKA, yeah.
Formerly known.
Yeah. But he, I had known him during my college radio days, which is where a lot of those freestyles that appear on my mixtapes are recorded or were recorded. And he went to Scribble Jam as well. And he was a very shy, and he's just a small human being with a big alien head. And so
he does have a big alien head.
But yeah, no, he hit me up. I think I don't know what happened. I think Anticon was entertaining the idea of putting out a Prolific album, and that didn't work out. And I got to talking to him because he's from Rhode Island as well. So I already had Strange Famous going. Everything was good. Like, we had everything in place. We had our distributor, we had the publicity, people who were mastering the records. We just had everything in place. So I was like, listen, this producer I work with named Reanimator, he's from Chicago. I was like, he does incredible beats. I'm going to pair you up. I'm going to put you guys together. And then they ended up doing like tons of music together for the Ugly Truth album. And that was the first straight up hip hop album we released on Strange Famous outside of my own solo material. The other record that came out at the same time was B Dolan's Failure. And that wasn't, I wouldn't say that was 100% hip hop, because that was a very experimental project that was like 1/3 hip hop, 1/3 spoken word, 1/3 theater of the mind narrative. Very cool, creepy, interesting and unique type thing. But for Al, I mean, prolific at the time, he wasn't touring, you know, like he wasn't big as a live performer, but that Ugly Truth album sold crazy. It was like, it made really good money. And we were able to sell a lot of merch. And that was back when people were actually purchasing music. So it was a great time to come out with music and make a good penny off of it. But he didn't put out another project for a long time after that. And then he kind of just slowed down totally and got into like family life and work life, and he moved. And then after his divorce a couple years ago, and the pandemic, he dug and decided that he's going to start producing beats a lot more, and start recording a lot more, and start being freer as an artist, not caring too much about like what's happening on the business side. Just be creative, be dope, and see what happens, and see how many people he can work with, and diversify his collaboration portfolio. And he just was like, and also I'm going to change my name. Like, I know that I built this name Prolific over the years. It's been promoted, you know, everyone knows me by this, and it's going to be very confusing, but I can't go by the name Prolific anymore, because I chose that as a teenager, and it's fucking stupid. So I was like, you know what? Cool. I reluctantly was like, cool, because I hate the idea of giving up on momentum that is built behind pushing a certain name and a label and a brand. But he was beyond that, and now I'm so happy he made that choice, because it helped me come to understand our transition as a label, which a lot of it kind of relies on his input and his output and who he's working with. And the way he brought in Jesse the Tree. I mean, Jesse, along with Blacklick, and a lot of these people were my contacts at first, but Mopes is the one who actualized these collaborations in a way where I saw how they could be official releases on Strange Famous, that in a way I never really considered before. And so that all kicked off with the Mopes EP, and that featured a song that had me and Jesse the Tree as well as Blacklick featured on it. We did a video for it. Oh, and Mopes is also directing these videos. So the creative output is and he's no slouch, you know, like he's not just recording on an iPhone, and it's not in passing. Like, he's actually a video editor, you know, like he's an actual director, and he's an actual hip hop producer, and he's an actual MC, and he's not expecting to live off this stuff. He does want to make, you know, what he deserves off of it. All of us do, but we go this understanding that that's not always possible. So without his willingness to offer his services and his creative output, where the heck would we be right now? Like, I think it would slow things down a whole lot, because a lot of the albums that we released in recent history are because of Mopes.
Yeah, I've just going off that. I mean, like, that was one of the coolest things that happened to me musically, was meeting Mopes and just connecting with him, building a friendship with him. But he's a workhorse. Like, he's super intelligent. I think he's one of the most underrated writers like ever. And like, he's a really brilliant wordsmith. Like, and some of the stuff he's been showing me recently, just demos, like, he somehow like continues to get better at producing and writing in ways you just wouldn't really even expect. Like, he's still, like, he sent me this verse the other day, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I didn't even know you could go that far and he's just like his cadences he's always working on too. Like he does it all, and he's just a glue type guy, and he loves the shit, and he loves helping, and he's just like the guy you dream of working with, really, especially musically.
Yeah, on Unwound, I had moments where I was like, "Ooh," I was just like, there were some incredible lines in there.
Yeah, that album is so.
It's so good. I love the album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good
Yes.
album. And so that was, and my experience with Mopes production is that it's perfect right now because it's so not what's happening right now. Like what the production of this era is like purposefully grading, and like by the end of it, you're gonna think I don't even know how to make it pleasant. You know, that's the kind of production that is popular now, post Derringer, post all that stuff. And Mopes production is just lush. It's really lush and really beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I thought was really cool about Pigeon Man and Unwound. It was like that's the first thing I thought of too, was that he was just doing the same shit he's done with production, and still using really interesting drum breaks on these songs, and still using really soulful and melodic samples, and like lush is like the best word to describe it, really. Like they're so full sounding, you know what I mean? And just structurally, the way he puts a beat together, it's like it's already set up, you know what I mean? It's like a starter kit for a rapper. Like, here you go. Like, if you want to make a rap song, this shit is all laid out. You got a quick intro here, 4 bars, and then like his switch ups are super nice. Like, but that's something that stood out to me too with Pigeon Man. I was like, wait, there's really not too many producers that sound a lot like Mopes right now. He's kind of carved his own lane in that way. Like, once again.
Yeah, Kay, how did it hit you with going through the 2022 releases?
Oh, I mean, because I'm glad that you mentioned that Sage mentioned the rock influence, because it did strike me as like, I guess, alternative influenced, I guess you could say, like, and so that was refreshing in a lot of ways to me. Plus I think the lyricism was more poetic in a way that like you haven't heard from other, sorry, I've got like a cold, other like labels as well. So I thought it was really good.
Yeah, Mopes has a way of being poetic but straightforward.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
where there's no bullshit. He's not tricking
sincere.
you.
It's very sincere to me.
Right.
I feel like he embodies that no bullshit attitude.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
there's very little fat on any of his
Right.
lyrics. Like, it's very to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's
he
very
has no
Rhode
need
Island
to put up a front of any sort.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling somebody recently. I was like, the best way to define Mopes' writing is like it's Rhode Island as fuck. Like, and that's what's so cool is like there's songs like him and I are going back and forth on Pigeon Man. I'm like, this is like, with our Rhode Island accents, it's funny, you know what I mean? Like, this is some Rhode Island hip hop.
Oh yeah.
And it's got its own, we do have our own kind of sound in some ways, which is exciting to think about, and it's cool. And I think Mopes is the definition of like Cranston, you know, like the big blue bug over the highway, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's a great reference writer too. Like, it's just, but yeah, his lines are thoughtful and sharp, and he can write the hell out of a punchline too. He'll fuck you up with a punchline, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah. And you have songs like McAdoo where that, like, when it first started, I was like, holy shit, this is a Dungeon Family beat. This is amazing. And then the hook comes and references the Dungeon Family shit. I'm like, good. Everybody knows what's going on here. You know, this is awesome.
That's why I was so, when I read that review, I was so happy you said that, because as soon as I heard that beat, that was the first thing I thought was Dungeon Family.
It would be silly to not acknowledge how Dungeon Family that shit is, right? Like,
yeah,
it's great. It was great. Poise is the key. And I will say, Kay, Jesse the Tree had a great appearance on Call Out Culture, and what Zilla said to you when it started made me laugh very loud, because when he was talking about how worried he was that you would be whack, and I was like, I was sweating, because I was like, this, like, everyone loves this guy. Everyone is like, this Jesse the Tree is fantastic. Prem Rock's telling me he's fantastic. Everyone's telling me he's fantastic. Like, if this album stinks, on an island with my arms folded, and it's gonna suck. But I was very relieved, and I was like, oh shit, this is, because I've heard a lot of New England hip hop where they were saying shit that I knew didn't happen in that area, and it also sounded like the sink was running, you know? It's like, God damn.
That's funny shit. Yeah.
This was like, oh, this is a real album. This sounds great, you know?
It's like you guys are surprised there's a quality product on Strange Famous. What's going on?
I mean, that was once Sage was like, Jesse the Tree's dope. I'm like, all right, fine, I will get into it. But yeah, no, it was great, and it's really it's becoming one of my favorite albums. It's really, I've listened to it a lot.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
One of the things that I think distinguishes Pigeon Man is that it's so gloriously hooky. It's just it's very fun to listen to, whether you put together serotonin and what all that means. You can just love the hook, love the verses, and enjoy. Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, I had Zilla text me the other day, and he was like, I gotta say, he's like, this is like one of my favorite albums now to paint my house to. And I was like, that's put that on a repress of the CD, like one of the best albums to paint your house to.
Yeah.
I need to collect some other, like mundane activities that it kind of aids in, best album to like clean the shrapnel out of your sink to, or best album to clean the litter box to.
Yeah, if I'm doing laundry to your album, that's a compliment.
Yeah,
right.
Because if you're gonna pick one for laundry, you know what I mean. Like that's probably the top tier compliment, though, is laundry albums.
Yeah, I would say my statement would be like, I've done some of my best cleaning to Pigeon Man.
That's great. I have.
Like Pigeon Man ends, my family comes and they're like, it looks much better than it's ever looked. I'm like, hey,
they're like, they're like, Daniel, were you listening to Pigeon Man again? This bathroom looks pristine.
Yep.
No, I'm just doing meth. I promise.
Yeah. The meth has choice.
Yep. So, Kay, do you have anything that stuck out on Pigeon Man that you were into, or?
Oh, let me get the track list. Sorry.
Flying Beatrice has become a thing for me. I really love Flying Beatrice.
That's my favorite one to play live for sure.
Ooh, that thing thumps. I will say, Pigeon Man is in the running for the most New England album I've ever heard. Like,
damn.
Because I will say my favorite feature on Pigeon Man is Miles Bullen. Dream.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The middle section, Apples and Anchors, Danny Strange, Blue Dream, and Miss Tonin.
Miss Tonin. Yep.
Miss Tonin. I thought that section was really strong.
Thank you, man. That's really awesome. Strong. Yeah. Miles came in just like sprinting on that verse. He was like already out of breath and then crossed the finish line on that verse.
Yep.
Like really thoughtful writing.
That melody, the feel that it brings. Yeah. I love that. That was a song that I wanted to get on, but it didn't happen. But it turned out wonderful. It was like the chorus, everything about it. I love that song.
I'd never heard a beat like that, or ever tried to rap on a beat like that before. It'd be like there's so much different sound going on in that, and like the way the drums came in, like that, Mopes went bananas on that, and we got some guitar on it from another Rhode Islander, Alan Haig, and then
shout out Alan Haig.
Alan Haig, one of the greatest Rhode Islanders of all time.
Yep.
Awesome.
And Roz too, like Roz
Yep,
Raskin
Roz.
on the chorus, who is, you know, one of the most loved Rhode Island artists out here, and just a brilliant songwriter and musician. So that was a very inherently Rhode Island song, and Miles spends a lot of time in Rhode Island too, so he's going to start picking up the accent soon.
That's awesome. No, you know, just you go into the story where you're like, you know, it's the farming, the intense farming, the visits to Florida, and I'm just like, this is our fucking story right here. Like this is some New England ass shit, you know. I was just so happy because there are a lot of like, I don't know, there's a lot of ways people have expectations with rap, and some people, you know, try and seem tougher to make sense of it all. And this is just a very real ass song. And your relationship with Miles, I think, is very special and very good. I love Morning Travels. I love the song you had on Morning Travels.
Thank you.
But yeah, there's a relationship between you two that
I've learned a lot from him. You know what I mean? Too, like it's I've learned a lot from the way they just vulnerability, number one. You know what I mean? Like that's something you can never learn enough from another person about. And Miles does a really good job. Just such a tender, gentle, thoughtful person. And just the way they see the world, you know, is just inspiring. And yeah, musically and just as a person in general outside of music, and a very inspiring, and haven't met anyone like Miles since, and probably ever again, but very influential musician.
Yep. And can say nasty things in a very uplifting way. Like, you know, it's a very uplifting tone, but he's eating out of a trash can. You're like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's some Adventure Time shit. You know what I mean? Like it's this kind of, he can make a horror story look like a rainbow type of deal.
Yep. No, unique voices, you know, with Mopes, with, you know, Prem, with, you know, with Sage. I was thinking about how, like, everybody on the album is so singular sounding.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guests where you, like, when they start speaking, you're like, oh, it's this person. Like,
yeah.
They're so
I think Prem big time with that too. Yeah. You know, like, and I was just so happy to have Prem on it, because like when I asked him to do that, even, you know, we were friends, but more from a musical standpoint. Like we'd played a few times together in Rhode Island, but then, you know, way beyond that verse, you know, like a year and a half later, Prem is like who I consider one of my best friends in music, and so it was really cool to look back on that with him. And I just remember hitting him up, being like, "Do you want to be on this?" And hopefully, want to make a lot more music with him and that whole crew.
And he's literally at his peak. You know what I mean? He is literally at his artistic zenith right now.
Talk about like a wild transformation, you know, that for somebody who rapped as long as he did, and just like another dude who, it's mind blowing how much better and better he's getting too. And seeing him perform in person too. We went on a tour with him and Curly at Shrapnel a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and then I went out with him and Henri Osborne, Dark Time Sunshine, and just the progression from seeing him a year later in performance, like just super sharp, loud, presence is super, you know, commanding. And he's another dude, like, you got to listen to those verses a few times and really soak it in, because he's just very interesting and unique writer. And I love his references. I'm a sucker for any type of sports reference, but he says some wild shit about all types of stuff.
And it's not just the sports, like it's like you mentioned Tom Waits on the album, right? And like, that's, you know, that's his wheelhouse. So there's a lot of intersectionality there.
He likes a lot of like that outsider folk kind of alternative, like 90. We bond over that too, that kind of weird 90s grungy like David Berman writing, like Purple Mountain, Silver Jews type of music. Like, draw a lot of inspiration from writing like that.
That's awesome. Kay, were you surprised to hear Tommy Heinsohn on this album, or what?
I mean, it's New England. Anything's possible with Tommy Heinsohn.
Anything is possible.
So,
yeah, no, I wouldn't have been released without the Tommy Heinsohn sample in there. That was necessary.
Yeah, goes along with the most New England album. I mean, it's kind of christens the deal. So I love it. But yeah, no, that's been great, and it's great to hear that Mopes is still, active and growing and doing good stuff. And this is a good Strange Famous is a good place for you.
Yeah,
I hope this is a continual working relationship, but you've got lots of options. You got people who believe in you to a great extent. So
that's awesome, man. Thank you.
I came back without video in hopes it would help my connection, but my internet's really whack, so I apologize.
You sound good though.
Yeah,
all right, that's good.
Right here.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's two things I wanted to talk about. One is neither Jesse or I really have a Rhode Island accent.
Yeah, and comparatively to the true Rhode Island accent,
Mopes does, though. He's still. I used to have it. I actually shed it over the years. I had to get rid of it because people, I don't know why. People couldn't understand when I was talking sometimes. But I remember coming back and doing a show after years of touring, and a girl I used to grow up with. A girl I grew up with. She was a bartender at the venue I was playing, and she was actually the sister of one of my best friends. So she was like, "Hey, what's going on? Haven't seen you in so long." I was like, "Yeah." I started talking to her, and she made this weird face, and she was like, "You sound weird."
What the fuck, guy? You sound mad weird.
Yeah, she was like offended. She was offended at my lack of an accent, and it does turn on when I'm pissed off or I got road rage, but for the most part, it's not there. But Jesse, what's up with your accent? Like, is it because you lived in North Carolina, and what happened?
No, probably the same as you, man. I mean, my mom is not from here. Her family's from North Carolina, but my dad is very, very Rhode Island. So I think my sisters didn't really have it, and my mom didn't have it at all. So
it's so weird how that happens sometimes, because it was like my best friend growing up didn't have a Rhode Island accent. Yeah. How does it happen? I don't know. Like, it's some people are just immune to the bug.
Yeah.
But that's
I never had a real Maine accent because my parents are both from the Bay Area.
What is a Maine accent?
It just wasn't in my. It just wasn't.
Is Maine like? What is that? Could you do a Maine accent impression?
Oh man.
Yeah. Extravagant A's, right? A's taking the place of everything. Is that what?
Yes. There's no R's.
Yeah. That's what we do. That's how we are too. But
isn't it when people talk like this over here? Have a good breakfast over there.
It's
is it like Canadian meets Boston?
A lot of hot, like, this is wicked hard, bub. I don't have a Maine accent.
I'm not
this is wicked hard,
bub.
Yeah,
a lot of
look at Maine trying to have an accent. Get out of here, Maine.
Yeah, I hear you.
Are you from Canada? What's the deal?
And there's different variances of it. Southern Maine, we were not worried about that. But yeah, there's some lobster out there who
lobster. Yes, there you go.
Lobster, chowder.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's Rhode Island. That's a Rhode Island accent.
I know. There's like a string of like 8 bars on I think it's Danny Strange off Pigeon Man, where you can hear, for listeners who are really interested in hearing a Rhode Island accent in the wild, where he goes like, I write sober, but pack a pipe smoker, walk a tightroper, the highs and lows of a dice roller, thought provoker. I'm Mr. Furley, you're Mr. Roper. He just like skips like 25 R's in a row.
It's so good.
Incredible. Yeah.
So good. That is proof positive, everybody. If you want to nail that down, that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, New England shit. This is what it is. But I was gonna say, Kate, this is transitioning to another major figure on Strange Famous. I went to a Sage Francis show. They were introduced Sage Francis, and who comes on but a giant psychotic clown who kind of looks like Sage Francis, right? And the crowd doesn't
at the
know
time.
what's going on.
Yes,
The crowd is very confused, right? Is this Sage Francis? If it is he okay? And the clown, the psychotic clown, starts to do like warmongering poetry, like in a Tony Clifton type of way.
right.
And the crowd is just like, oh, what is going? Is that? And they wait, but eventually it gets to a boiling point where they're like, "We hate you, clown!" And and I'm like, the clown is beautiful. This is amazing. This is some Tony Clifton shit. And like and Sage comes out in a suit, looking like a Secret Service member, and kicks the clown off stage, takes the glasses off, and goes. And the crowd goes wild. But like, I was like, who's the fucking clown? And that was B. Dolan. And B. Dolan became a real fixture and someone who I think kind of, it seemed from afar, lit a fire under you to go in a different direction.
No. I didn't go in any other direction, but B. Dolan was a reluctant world superstar. I took him on tour before he even considered putting out albums or being a live hip hop artist. And the Bombzo the Clown stuff was how it first started happening. So what you saw probably was before we developed it into a point where he would heckle me during my show, and then I would invite him up on stage, and the crowd would not really know if this was real or not, like if it was part of the show. A lot of people really believed he was just some asshole heckling. But what got us to powwow and bro down initially was the political activism, because his stances were just so staunch and he was so fiery, and as a writer he's incredible, and as a performer he's incredible. He's got a lot of things going for him, but it was like he was like zoning in on the 2004 election, how Bush remained in office, how the wars, and I was too. I mean, I was all fired up about that, and so we just decided to collaborate on various activist endeavors. One of them being the nomore.org website. And then I did the nomore.org tour to help promote it. And that was, there's a lot of stuff going on, but that's why the album, The Failure, when it came out, he was unhinged, like he wanted it to come off like he's an unhinged character, get people to think. And that's his greatest strength, I think, his ability to get people to really question what's going on and think about what he's doing, and with just these lines that just hit so hard and they stick with you. And he's developed the hip hop stuff more so over the years,
right?
And yeah, so we perform together a lot. Like we've done hundreds of shows together, to the point where I decided like we should do a group project. So that was Epic Beardmen. And and then that was in an effort for us to chill out and do something fun and lighthearted. And it really didn't turn out that way because I don't know, it's not us, but that was the attempt. So yeah, him coming up during an era where people stopped buying music, they were downloading more, and this was even before streaming, but the people were expected to buy MP3s on iTunes, and it was like people were just pirating stuff at that point, and rightfully so. He had, he just missed a critical, he just a couple years late Had he hit just a couple years earlier, he probably would have hit a similar wave that I did, where it would take you to certain places before everything collapsed, and then you could kind of survive off of people knowing more about you. So I know he struggled with that, and it's every artist does. But now we're in a whole other era where, again, where I stated, people kind of come into this with that understanding, and I love that we have artists on board who are as talented as they are, willing to do as much as they do, and with a positive attitude about it all, and understand that, you know, we have something special in our community. We have something special in our mix of artists. And it's a privilege to just have one another to bounce ideas off of, and have fun with each other, and hopefully make things greater or more well known than they are. But if it doesn't turn out that way, fuck it. I think people are going to appreciate it for what it is for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I think now you can see it from the guests on Pigeon Man, right? Miles Dolan is releasing his best albums now. So is Prem Rock. Like,
there's so much special stuff happening in hip hop, and it's not, you know, and it's not driven by any media corporation. It's us. It's and I don't even want to say us. I don't want to include myself in that, because I do come from another era. I'm just looking on with fascination with this new wave of artists who are doing it their own way, and within a system that is unpredictable, and you can't understand it because it's not built for you, and everything is working against you, but you're still making it happen.
I think this is an era that's very legacy focused, Jesse. I think like people are like, I talk to people who are 24 years old and they're obsessed with their discography being bulletproof, right? And that's not how people were thinking back in the day.
Yeah, and I think both of those analyses are spot on. And I think another thing is, because, you know, people are doing it for the sake of doing it, for the sake of being creative, or for the sake of this being a therapeutic practice, or because they love to write, or because they love to rhyme, you have this kind of friendly, competitive feel too, where I think people are hearing a lot of good albums, and then they're like, okay, let me see if I can top that one, maybe. But I think it's everybody's skill right now is I think a lot of us are pushing each other to bring our best work, and that's done without, as Sage was saying, without the financial incentive, because that's so murky to figure out. And so everybody's like, let me see if I can make a better album than my last one. Right. What does that take? Let me see if I can do something innovative with this album. And so a lot of boundaries are being pushed sonically, I think, too. And I think a lot of people are being inspired by each other right now as well. And it just seems like, you know, even in the Twitter sphere, there's like a lot of underground dudes who are aware of each other, respect each other, listen to each other's shit. And thank God Sage was like, you need to get a Twitter to me, because I didn't even know this was going on, you know.
Right.
But this is how I've been able to hear so many artists I might not have heard, who consider some of the best right now. And but yeah, there's just so many people working hard and putting out thoughtful material. So it's at a great state right now. I really think that. I think it's some weird, cool, another renaissance of some sort artistically, and I think it's around to stay for a while, as it seems right now.
That's the right word for it. It is a renaissance. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. And I was listening. I keep thinking of Steel Tip Dove. He was being interviewed, and he said, it was on Rap Music Club podcast. He said for 7 years, every bit of money he made in music was off of an interaction in Twitter.
Yeah. And that's how you can kind of gauge in what people think of your music too, and you can gauge what people dig right now, and you can gauge you're getting this validation that you know, you want from your music. Like when I read your review of my album, it's like, you know, these are things that's the stuff I love to hear, is when like, oh, a thoughtful review, or somebody being like, I really connected with this song, or that was cool, I play this one a lot, you know. And that's the coolest feeling in the world, you know. And I see a lot of that going on, a lot of people reviewing each other's shit, you know, on, and not looking for some sort of material reward from it, more so doing it because this is its own cool nerdy kind of lore that's going on at all times. And I'll never forget, I was playing in New Haven and hanging out with Chesky after a show, and he was just like, we were sitting down, he's like, you do get it now? He's like, this is just some nerdy shit. And I was like, yeah. And that's the coolest part about it. It's this weird continuous lore that's going on in front of our own eyes, and it's just everybody's getting a chance to paint a picture and share it with each other. And this is what I think, and it just seems like it's at a good spot in terms of interpersonally too. People, I see a lot of people being kind to each other and being helpful as well. You know, a lot of people sharing beats, producers all over the place working with each other. And I think there's a really good sense of friendly competition going on right now, which inspires great art. You know, like I'm a kind person and love people very, you know, love my friends and shit, but I'll hear an album and I'll be like, all right, I want mine to be better than that. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's like when I'm writing, I'll hear, you know, I'll listen to any of these contemporaries, or I'll go back and listen to people and I'll be like, okay, I didn't know you could do that with writing, and how can I get to that level? And now here's something else. And so it's this constant rewiring going on too. That's just fun, you know. So I always feel pushed in a good way. Like I want to write now more than ever, really.
And Kay, that's how I am loading my groceries on the belt. I'm always trying to be better every time, more efficient, take up less space, put the barrier behind me.
That's true. That's true, though. I do with every mundane task. I love repetition. I love doing those things and perfecting it. And yeah, that keeps me going. I mean, shit.
Just weird shit, you know what I mean?
That's for perfection.
It keeps you going. Yeah, it's something, making a game out of silly shit like that, you know. And even laundry, I'm like, how can I wash more underwear this time? I only did like 6 pairs last time. And I know I'm not going to do this for a while again. So let's make sure I pick all the articles that I really do like, and I need to stop washing the shirts that might have already been clean, but I put them in the laundry anyways because they're on the floor. And I don't even like them. So how can I wash the shirts that I really like is really what this comes down to.
Shout out to the God of Mischief, Chesky, who released an album on Strange Famous Records, Broken Bone Ballads, that I really love.
No, it's a fucking incredible album.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we didn't put that out, but we are selling it in our web store.
Oh, okay. I thought I bought it from you. Like,
yeah. We like to hold. We carry a lot of fake form material in our web store.
Cool, man. Cool.
Strangefamous.com. It's been a while because like people aren't creating as much physical product anymore, but back when like CDs were a thing, we still got all the CDs and tapes and vinyl and books and shirts and hoodies and hats. But it's like most people are just streaming music and listening to it passively. I miss that time where we could really, I don't know.
It was intense.
Yeah,
it was intense.
Living off music is a nice thing. I hope we all get to do it again sometime.
I hear it. It's but no, it's Strange Famous has been impactful to me, and I look forward to the future with you. Before we go into recommendation corner, Kay, one more Sage story.
Okay.
This is never could dance, and I hated New Englanders who pretended that they could and were just going nuts, and I didn't like it. So I was posted up in the back near the merch table, foot up on the wall, you know, taking in the music. Sage is manning the merch table himself, blueprint style. And Sage sees me and is just like, "What's wrong, buddy?" And starts just dances with forcibly, makes me dance, and we dance together. I've danced with Sage Francis.
A rare occasion where I want to like dance with like anybody at all, because I'm also
That's
not
beautiful.
that I'm not that
It
dude.
is.
So you caught me at a good time.
He was happy go lucky. It was that's awesome.
Shit done changed.
So, do you have any final thoughts, Kay? Or
No, man, this was a great conversation. Learned a lot.
Hell yeah. So let me first. There's I'm gonna do recommendation here. From the 70s. I'm gonna go from the 70s. Because I usually go recent stuff. And I will, but I was listening to Harry Nilsson's Son of Schmielsen, which is incredible.
Ooh, Harry Nilsson's great.
So, Kay, you can watch. There's a great Harry Nilsson documentary. There's this producer who locked in with him, made Nilsson Schmielsen, which is a classic, and they pushed each other and he challenged each other. And the Harry Nilsson fired him. Said, "Nah, fuck all that being challenged shit. I've got a lot of cocaine. I'm very rich now, and I'm doing however the fuck I want." And Son of Schmielsen is the album after he fires the guy who keeps him level, right? Kills his Jiminy Cricket and just makes the most insane album he can make. And it's beautiful. It's insane. And it still has a lot of gorgeous Harry Nilsson moments that showcase his true talent. But he was a wonderful, wonderful person to listen to. And Son of Schmielsen's always near me. So
I gotta I'll play that tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta look there.
It's great. There's a song called Radio on it that's just beautiful. And it's the other ones is everybody's heard Theravada, Young Morpheus. Incredible album that they put together. It's got a very long title that I think trails off the page. Up Against the Wall, A Degree of Insanity or something. There's also another one I was listening to today, Young Morpheus and Obi-Wan, Slang Casino, which is super dope. Young Morpheus is awesome. It's just a very strong individual delivery, and very serious, beautiful pro-black stuff. And then went on Dad Bod Rap Pod and it was hilarious. And everybody was like, "What? He's hilarious?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can be hilarious and pissed at the system. You don't."
Oh, yeah. It's one of the best things you can be.
Totally. You can't be mad all the time. But yeah, shout out to Young Morpheus, who's an incredible talent. Those are my two that I will stick with. Jesse, what are you listening to?
All right, I'll match you with the 70s. I'll do a 70s and
Beautiful.
let me see. I've been listening for 70s stuff. Have you ever listened to Dan Reeder?
Oh God, we had another guest.
He's not even 70s. I just pulled this up.
Was,
He's more recent, like early 2000s.
It was
he has a
Infinity
self-titled
Knives who
album.
told me to listen to Dan Reeder. Infinity Knives.
Oh, no shit. Yeah. He's cool, man. He's got a really beautiful voice, and he's a funny writer. It's simple, cool, like there's some sorrow, and then there's some like real dark shit, and then there's some real light, hopeful, funny stuff in there. But he's got just a really nice voice. And then specifically the song off that I like is I love Havana Burning and Clean Elvis off that are two just gorgeous songs. But the whole album's really cool. And then modern stuff, I would say I mean, it's all our friends of the modern stuff that everybody's listening to now. But I've been into like UK underground hip hop.
Ooh.
I love the Cult of the Damned crew, like Lee Scott, Black Josh,
Ooh,
and
Black Josh is great. Yep.
fantastic. And I really like Trellion too.
Mhm.
He's just very slow paced, kind of like haunting sample based rap and just super spaced out bars, like long pauses between like he's just kind of clever but simple writing. Um, so yeah, I've been doing a lot of those two kinds of going back and forth between kind of outsider, folky, alternative stuff, and then trying to just keep up. I mean, just trying to keep up in general with all the hip hop releases. Um, there's just so much good shit coming out
The
from
Black
our
Josh,
peers,
the Black Josh one I bumped a lot was the one with Milcavelli Swagasis.
Yes, yeah, there's the song Fisher Price on that.
Yep.
Just really cool. It's bouncy, light, and then just some really serious punchlines too. And yeah, so I got really hooked on that kind of scene for a while.
Yep. And a great last song to Die to This, which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. But Sage, what are you bumping?
On the daily, mostly the Curious George theme song.
Banger.
It plays about 50 times a day here in the house, so that's really like in my head at all times. And to be honest, it has no right slapping as hard as it does. It's actually really fucking dope. But yeah, I don't have time for music outside of what I'm doing within the Strange Famous realm, because we have so much material on deck, and I'm hopping on various people's albums. I'm trying to put together my own stuff. Next year is going to be insane. I don't think we even have enough like time to release all the projects that are sitting on deck, and that's a good problem to have, but it is a problem. So
Problems got
but
problems.
yeah, problems got problems. I don't know if people have made it this far into the podcast. Probably a lot have dropped off, but that makes it safe for me to say certain things I wouldn't have said earlier. There's this new cat that kind of fell into our lap. His name's Old Boy, and he presented us a project that has so many legendary MCs on it that I was like, yo, because he asked me to be on a song. He's like, I don't want to say too much, but anyway, I was like, yo, and then he was like, hey, do you want to like put this album out on Strange Famous? I was like, dog, are you serious? Like, you're dope, and you have like various legendary rappers on this thing, and everything's great about it. So I look forward to unleashing that on the world out of nowhere, because this cat has not been, he doesn't like do online stuff. He hasn't, he kind of just started an Instagram recently, but it's going to come out of nowhere. So that's fun, awesome, exciting stuff for me. And I'm working with longtime collaborators. We're doing a lot of stuff with Buck 65. We just did a song with Chuck D that is gonna blow people's fucking heads off their shoulders. It's like, it's so much. I mean, I listened to that song. We did this song together. I probably have listened to it 100 times already. So that's what I'm listening to. I'm sorry to all the other artists out there who are releasing material, but I'm getting very like, when I have time to listen to music, I get excited about my stuff and our stuff, and that is what I have to focus on, because we run a record label with two people, me and Storm Davis. We're the main people who are doing stuff at all times. Shout out to Storm, and shout out to the volunteers, like people who actually like volunteer incredible services that we couldn't survive without. An indie label of our size and stature is not going to survive without those kind of contributions. So that's where I'm at. And I mean, I make no gripes about it. My wife and my kids and this domestic situation I'm in now is so brand new to me in the grand scheme of things that I'm I'm not trying to live my old life where I can constantly listen to music. So that's where I'm at.
I hear you. No, and shout out to Storm Davis. When my order hit a wall, Storm Davis jumped over it and took care of things and was very communicative and was great.
No, he's the best. He's the fucking best, straight up.
Yep.
He's great. Funniest fucking dude too.
And I would say in place of Sage Francis' recommendation, listen to an Alias album.
Oh yeah, Alias all day.
R.I.P. Alias. I think the greatest talent that Maine ever produced, hip hop wise. So yeah.
I can't overstate how like sorely missed he is in our mix. We were so lucky to have Bren doing as much as he did with us, and I got to tour with him a couple times. We've seen all different parts of the world together. We've seen each other at very vulnerable stages in our life, and when he transitioned, I cried. I couldn't stop crying. I think about it all the time, and his wife and kids. I don't know. Like B. Dolan has been such a mensch in helping out with organizing his music catalog and making sure that money gets funneled to the family through some of the channels that we have at Strange Famous, but also on Bandcamp and wherever else. But man, it's like his loss can't really. No one's been able to make total sense, not sense of it. I'm not sure what I want to say. It hasn't been
processed.
Yeah, like media doesn't know how to cover it. Like there's no fucking what's sad? The only time that cat ever trended is when he passed away. The only time he trended on Twitter, and for all that he's done. Yeah, so
I mean, and I used to have a running joke, Sage, with my friend who founded Free Music Empire with me, that the dopest rapper in Maine was whoever was friends with Sage. Sorry, Alias. Whoever was friends with Alias. That like, if you were friends with Alias, you were getting beats that were just going to take you where you needed to be. Like,
yeah, and he's probably the main reason I was able to become friends with anybody in Maine, in the Anticon realm, because he was the approachable one. He was the nice one. He was the one without ego. He was a great MC who didn't have the ego of an MC. He had the ego, of a producer who was more okay with being in the background, despite the fact that he was an incredible lyricist and performer. And I'm like, a few things I'm super proud of in my career was taking him on a major tour where I convinced him to rap on it.
Oh,
so
such a great rapper.
Yeah,
terrible. But yes, Kay, I know you've said you don't have deliberate recommendations. You just want to take your time to defend the Boston Celtics head coach.
No, you don't want to do that. Right now,
nobody's doing
Stephen
that
anymore. This shit.
You don't know the details yet.
I don't. No, I do have a recommendation. It's not like a music album, but I did see the. So there's a David Bowie documentary, Moonage Daydream.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed. So
that'll be my recommendation. Is that on like Amazon or Netflix or something?
I think it'll eventually be on HBO Max, but right now it's still in theaters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learned a lot, and it's it's eye-opening to see how much live music has like evolved, since the 70s, 80s, and 90s, or the whole music industry in itself, I guess you could say. And I thought it was a really well done documentary. So,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, no, Bowie was crazy. It was great stuff. I appreciate all of you coming. This has been fantastic. Keep me laced with any Strange Famous upcoming stuff so I can wave that flag.
Yeah, hopefully we'll kick it in person.
Yep. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. I mean, you're around here. I think you performed at the state Jesse at the place next to the bagel place, and I was there maybe with Shrapnel. Were you there with Shrapnel?
What was it? Sun Tiki Studios, I think, or Sun
Yeah, in
Tiki or
Portland.
Afodian.
Yeah.
Afodian. Yeah, those are my two spots up there I love. But I'll definitely be up there soon to come hang with Miles and hopefully play a show. So we'll hang.
All right.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, lots coming up to next year again. I would say I haven't performed in over 2 years. In fact, the last two of the last shows I ever did was with Jesse the Tree.
Yeah, Hamden.
Yeah, Hamden, Connecticut, and Providence when I moved to Connecticut. And then next year I think I'm gonna perform again, and we're working out a huge gathering of strange famous artists who all appear at one place. It'll be a free show for the public. Expect more information about that soon, but with as much new material as we have coming out next year, I feel like that's going to be an important thing for us as a label and as just as a crew to actually come together in person after doing so much stuff online and this impersonal email transfers and stuff like that. Like, man, it's going to be so fun, and I can't wait to unleash that energy.
That's going to be great.
Expect a lot of stuff, and please, like, people, support how you can, even if it's a like or a share. That, I mean, as little as that is, it can be big in the grand scheme of things. If you're like sharing it with people who might actually enjoy it as much as you do, like, do that, and buy a shirt, like, help out these motherfuckers. It's like everybody is very desperate to get some kind of compensation and validation for all the time and effort and energy they put into their music. We appreciate it.
I always say it's kind of like tipping, like if someone wrecks
Very
a show,
much so.
I'm going to the merch table because I want to give you I want you to earn well for what you did, so you'll come back and give me a good show again.
Yeah.
It's just strategically that just makes the most sense.
I always throw the pizza guy who's around here. I always throw him extra $1 each time. Make sure that the pie's coming out piping hot, baby.
Right.
And that's what we're doing over here.
That's it. Get yourself the merch. The hats are beautiful. Things are on sale. Check it out. But state of the game next week. The theme song's coming. Damn right. And you know who did this theme song?
Who?
Andrew.
Oh, yeah, you told me that. He's perfect. He's perfect for that. Oh, I'm so excited.
Beautiful. I'm so happy.
He's got a beautiful voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a marvelous thing. Have you heard it yet, Kay?
I don't think I have. No.
Save it for a rainy day and enjoy. I've sent it to you, but yeah.
My internet is dying on me, so I'm gonna get out of here.
I will talk to you later. This is it.